Hey everybody, welcome back. Sorry, I was here, then I had to go into the countdown because I was having a sneezing attack. I couldn't stop sneezing, and so I needed that extra minute. I don't know what it is. I'm allergic to something. It's making me sneeze like crazy. Um, anyway, hello, hi. We've been away for a couple weeks. I was up north in Indiana at an open house, and I taught some classes up at our home office at Digital Wood Carver up there. We had an open house, showed off some machines, sold some machines, taught some classes. And then on the way back, I got to spend some time with my daughter. And the rest is history. So doing really good. I want to welcome everybody, especially my exclusive members, Spindle TV exclusive members. Hey, thanks to everybody for popping in, and as well as everybody else. You're all very important to me. Brooks Martin, good to see you. Brooks, big shout out. I saw kind of like series one of your Bigfoot build, right? Your Sasquatch build. That's looking pretty cool. And I'm looking forward to kind of catching that series just to see, one thing I cannot do is I cannot model animals or people, fur and hair and things like that. So looking forward to seeing what you got going on there. So, hey, great job on that. Um, I think I'm done with the sneezing. I hope I am. If I do, please excuse me. Don't know what it is. Don't have no idea what I'm allergic to. But anyway, so tonight I want to talk to you, and I want to kind of show off. We're going to make, not show off, we're going to make a sign and everything. But I want to talk to you about, I want to try to get some creative juices flowing. Some of my customers and everything that, just getting their machine, they're just getting started. They're just learning the Vectric software and things like that, and so they're it's really kind of hard for them, really anybody, to kind of imagine, there's so many possibilities that you could do with your signs and things. With being creative, with distortion of your text or your objects and things, or adding texture to the backgrounds, or just working with general shapes and your layout lines and all this stuff to come up with some really cool things using vector graphics that are out there that are available for purchase on Etsy, or mixing in common, mixing and combining different fonts of different shapes in different sizes to get different looks and things like that. So I want to kind of go over with you. Just some tips, some ideas, some, just things to think about, and, things that you can use and stuff. And we'll see what we can come up with. So with all that being said, let's switch over to the Vectric software. Everything I'm doing tonight is going to be simple VCarve, Ray stuff, no modeling or anything like that tonight. So everything can be done in Desktop Pro, Aspire, all that wonderful jazz. Oh man, I don't know what was getting me, but something was getting me good. All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, John Thompson. I'm looking forward to that series. I'm not good at human or animal features and things like that. That's one of my downfalls and stuff like that. And I've got Vectric Aspire, right? I could model from that, but I've also got ZBrush. Is a 3D sculpting program. I've got, I don't even use that now. Blender. I don't use that hardly very often, but that's where I kind of started with, was Blender, and things like that, for 3D modeling and sculpting and stuff. ZBrush really gives me all kinds of freedoms and everything, but no good whatsoever at humanoid or, realism and things like that. So really looking forward to that series. Brooks, I'll check, anybody check it out. Check out Brooks Martin's channel. See what he's got going on with the Sasquatch series. All right. Okay, let's get started. All right, so for tonight's class, I'm going to do kind of almost like a portrait type, orientation. So it's going to be a single-sided job. We're going to go 16 by 22 by 3/4. I'll be touching off on the material surface, starting from the center, is fine for me. And model resolution, just going to have that set to very high, which is my routine standard setup. Kind of becomes muscle memory and everything. But yeah, so let's first talk about some of the places that some of the things that I like to go look at, some of the places I like to check out for inspiration, not to use the same thing that's going on, but just to look at how the variety of how fonts are combined, how layout is done, how words are distorted and things like that. So one of my first places that I love to do is, let me see if I can bring an empty tab over here. One of the first places, or one of the first searches I love to do are country wood signs, right? Country wood signs. And so go to images and all of the images here, beautiful assortment of creativity here, right? The way that fonts are being used and combined with regular serif type fonts and script fonts, a combination of how things are laid out, how things are curved, what type of distortion of the letters and things, how the little flourishes and stuff that that people use and things. And, just all kinds. I mean, country wood signs, there is such a variety of, like I said, creativity and the way things are just, some things are simple, but the layout, right? The type of fonts, the way things are curved, the way things are put together. Layout, I did a class not too long back on, layout and everything. And there's just a wonderful assortment of inspiration, right? Now, the second place I like to look at is like antique gas station signs or antique garage signs, right? So let's do a search for antique. Get rid of that. Automotive garage signs. Antique garages or what have you, to look back in the day, how they used, how the graphics and everything, how they used the straight kind of like, serif text or Times New Roman type text, and then some custom text with distortion and how they use graphics and, their layout and all this stuff, right? The shapes of the signs and how they, like the straight line with the curves and all kind of this kind of rectangular area, how the signs were just laid out, right? And so this really just kind of gets my creative juices flowing. I love it because, I can, kind of, now I have, all of my fonts that I can choose from, and I have, different shapes that I can create and things like that, and just kind of start playing with stuff, right? And then we have the ability to distort things. I'm going to show you distortion here in just a second. And then really that kind of, brings out the creativity and all that stuff. So it's pretty cool, pretty slick. The overall consensus is just kind of like stepping out. Excuse me. Thought I felt another sneeze. Come on. The overall consensus, the overall, the sum of it all. I mean, I'm trying not to consensus, but the sum of it all is thinking just out of the norm, right? Just giving a little pizzazz or a little oomph or a little, just a little something, to the design, a little shape, a little flourish, a little bling, right? Whatever the thing may be. And really just kind of like put yourself into it. What inspires you when you look at things, in signs and then what do you find cool and neat and stuff like that, right? So think about that stuff when you're designing and really just kind of get into it, hone into it and everything. So now for me, believe it or not, back in the day, I don't know if I was born yet. I might have been born. I think I was born. But my mother had a Mustang Mach 1. It was yellow, black, striping, spoiler, fins down the back with all kinds of stuff, right? So, I could just imagine that car on a sign, or something, I could also imagine, my 80-year-old mother, I could imagine her back in the day behind the wheel of that car and stuff, right? Just cool stuff like that. And so I thought, what, I'll do kind of a garage style sign, and I'll use kind of the Mustang Mach 1 as the, as maybe the showpiece in the sign or whatever the case may be, right? That's kind of what we're going to create that tonight. But before we get into the actual design and things like that, let's talk about like our distortion tool and what we can do with that. And real quick, yes, it is. Michael's anatomy series is good, Bricks, for sure. All right, so let's talk about distortion for a minute. So I'm going to type out the word, and let's actually step back 2 more steps. Let's talk about fonts real quick, and let's talk about utilizing all your fonts and stuff like that. So fonts, now whatever font is installed on your computer, of course, you can use. It's there for you to use. But if it's if you just got the computer because you just got the software and you just got the machine and you really it's kind of all the default Windows fonts and all that comes with it. There's not a lot of variety there. There's not a lot of creativity. There's some script fonts, there's some serif fonts, there's some this, there's some that, but there's really not there's so many creative fonts out in the world, right? And one of the best places for me that I recommend is dafont, DAFONT.com. So at dafont.com, and we'll jump over there real quick, dafont.com. Now, dafont.com is a website where you can go to download thousands of variety of fonts for both personal and commercial use. Meaning if you're selling your signs, commercial use. And what you want to do is there's a series of categories at the top that you can choose from. Script type fonts or fancy fonts, foreign look, techno, gothic, all kinds of, holiday, all kinds of different things, right? And so when you're looking at fonts and font options and stuff, right below, once you click on a category, right below in the preview, type out one of the words or a few words of what you're actually what you're going to have in your sign. Like, let's say for me that garage was one of my words, and let's say that I'm doing all capital letters, right? And everything. Now, under more options, I want it to show me 100% free signs. And when I check off the box for 100%, it's going to check off the box for the public domain, GPL and OFL, commercial and personal use signs and everything. And when I hit submit, it's going to show me all of the fonts with the word that I typed out, whatever it might be, right? That kind of thing. And then when I go through and I can see all kinds of a variety of fonts. Now, these are old school fonts, meaning school, like collegiate. So they have that really blocky type, old school was the category I picked. But, you know, let's say that I want a retro style font, right? I can come in here and I can grab all kinds of cool font options, you know, under the retro category, right? And all these fonts, again, are showing me the 100% free fonts for both personal and commercial use. And so I can go through and really kind of, you know, see if I can, you know, see any fonts that really just kind of like do it for me, right? That really just that excite me. And, you know, in this case, on this one, this fancy retro, there's 20 pages of fonts that one could go through, right? And so let's say that let me just grab one font. I'll go to page 3 here. Let's see if there's anything eye-catching on page 3. And let's go back to page 1. I'm not going to go through all 20 pages. Page 1, there was a few. Let's say that Evil Empire. Let's go back up here. Let's say the Evil Empire was the font that I wanted to use as an example. So I'm going to hit download. That's going to download that font. So then I'm going to open that font up and I'm going to extract it because it's going to be a zip file. So I'm going to hit extract and extract extract all at the top. Then I'm going to hit extract. And now it's going to open a new window with the unzipped file. And I'm looking for the true type font files, or the font files. It could be open type as well. But on the font files, if there was 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or 7, or whatever, I could either one at a time right click on them and then left click on install, or in this case, I could just select all 3 of the files. I can right click and install, and it will install all 3 of those. And then I can go back to the Vectric software, and let's say I type out the word garage here, and I can go into that font list, and I can go down to the V's because that was called Verve, and I believe that was called Verve. Hold on a second. Let me pop back over to here. That download was Verve. Yep. And on my font file, it was Verve Alternative, and Verve Shadow. Now, so let's close out of the text box. Let's reopen it. And let's go down to the V's and VER. All right. So not in here just yet. No problem. It's one of those things. I talked to Vectric about it, about fixing that and everything, but I'm going to have to exit out of the Aspire software, and I'm going to go into it again. Restart it. It used to be you could just close the text box and open it up, and it would be right there. Let's go ahead and create that file again. Going 16, 18, that was a lie. 22 is what it was by 3/4. Click OK. Go back to my text box, type out garage, and then we should be able to now go down to the V's and our Verve Alternative, and Verve Shadow be there, right? And so now I'm not using Verve. That was just an example to teach you how to download and install your software. But, now I have, these 3 font options. Let's see what Verve, STUV, Verve Alternate. That gives a little bit of a kick right here, swirl. This would probably look better if I didn't use all capital letters. Let's find out. GARAGE. So non-capital still types capital with this particular font. But if I type it in all capital, then to the fancy little swirl. So DARAGE. V or Garage. Gives that little E a kick, that little A and R is a little kick by typing all capitals, right? So the font does a little different stuff. But now I have this font, right? And I can go download thousands and thousands of cool creative fonts to have fun with and everything. And there's so many options on the dafont.com website when we are there we go. In the website, there's so many options. There's so many fun things. Medieval. There's just your standard serifs, your calligraphies and school type fonts and handwritten and brush and all kinds of stuff, right? World is your oyster when it comes to that, dafont.com. Now, when it comes to kind of like picking the font of your sign and everything to be creative with, we can go down our list one by one, looking at, each of the when we type out a word, we can see what it looks like just by clicking on each one. And what I mean by that is in the Vectric software, let's say that I open up my font list and I click on this here. I can then use my down arrow and I can start kind of scrolling through it. Let's get past all the vertical fonts, but I can start scrolling through it and, seeing what really looks good, right? That could take forever if I have thousands of fonts, right? So we have wordmark.it. That's our next site that we're going to talk about. Wordmark.it. Wordmark.it helps you choose your creative fonts or your fonts for your creative projects, right? So here I could type out the word garage, and when I click here, then I can see all of my fonts. And let's see here, as part of the font system, there we go. Right now I'm on my VPN, I think, so it's not going to show that. Let's close that back. Don't try to close the video. It's a free site, but the video's got to stay in the bottom. It wants to play. What am I doing here? Wordmark.it. All right, one more time. Garage. And go in there. All right, so now don't try to close that little video because the things you wanted to do, you can sign up for a pro account type of thing. All right, so here, all the fonts installed on the computer, they're listed in alphabetical order. And they are here. Now I can kind of see them at a glance, and I can, I can click magnifying glass to see the font. The name of the font is down at the bottom. I can close that. I can look at another one, and, I can start to really kind of visualize, what is going to look good, what's not going to look good, and everything with the fonts. And the at a glance view, sorry, I was getting tongue tied there. The at a glance view just makes things a little bit easier, And wordmark.it, it is a free, you do have, it is free to kind of look through. You got to deal with like a little video playing in the background, all that stuff, but it gives you that added view. And there are some, you can get a pro account too, which gives you some added, features and things like that. I have never looked into the pro account, so I have absolutely no idea what those features are, right? In the font, again, I'm in my VPN, so it's not going to show my fonts and all, but the long story short is you can add in the extensions, and it'll ask you to allow it to view, and then you can go from there. So if I let me see if I go and add it through a different browser than Google. Let me see here if I can. Wordmark.it. Let's go garage. Click here. Click on my fonts, and right here. So allow Edge to show your fonts, right? So when I do that, I'll click allow, and now it will show all of my fonts, all my creative fonts and everything that I have, like, Beyond the Mountains, Verve is in there, the one we just installed. If I go all the way down to the V's, all the way, these are in alphabetical order. That's STUV. There's the Verve that we just downloaded, right, and everything. And so wordmark.it. And that is that, right? So it helps you choose your fonts. Now that gets fonts out of the way, right? Fonts is done, okay? Now, just because you pick a font, so let's do this. I'll make a little sign, let's make a little sign real quick, just a little kind of a stretch sign. So let's go. Welcome. Let me learn how to type. To our home. And let's make this a font that, oops, no, don't want to do that. Let's go with just a standard. Where's Georgia? Let me go down to the G's. I can do Calibri too. Let's go Georgia. Dumbledore, Georgia. There we go. All right, and let's go bold. And watch this. Now, when I'm in bold here, I got some overlaps, right? While I'm in the text box, let me teach you this real quick. While I'm in the text box, here, if I put my mouse between two letters, if I don't hold the shift key, I can reduce the spacing by bringing them together, right? If I hold the shift key down, I can increase the spacing by pushing them apart. If I hold the shift key and the alternate key, for every click that I do between the letter, it's going to add that one space, that click between all the letters, right? So just by holding the alternate key and the shift key, the alternate key will apply that click, that spacing, to all the letters, right? So it'll space them all out across, however many clicks I click, right? I don't have to go between the W and the E and the L and the C and the da. I can just do it in one place, hold that shift and that alternate key, and it'll spread it out across the board. All right. Any echoes? Are y'all getting echoes? Kool-Aid's getting an echo. Yeah. I might have been born. I don't know. I might have been born. But is anybody else getting an echo? Because there should not be an echo. There should only be one microphone here on my chest. No other microphones are live and active, so there shouldn't be an echo. So, hold on a second. Is my volume up too loud? Hold on. Let me. I always forget to do this. Hold on. My mic is not, so just so you know, my mic is way down here below my boobs, my man boobs, right? My mouth is up here. My mic is not too close. All right. So, but my volume is set loud. Let me slow down the volume. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Get me out of the yellow. All right. So we should be good there. Little lower tone. We should be good. Okay. All right. I can push my mic down to my belly button if I need to now. If I need to get further away. Ooh. But I used to wear the mic right up here under my, right above my chest. Say it from your chest. All right. Anyway, let's get back to the lesson at hand here. So, welcome to our home. Let's pretend that this is our sign here for a minute. I'm going to close out of this, and I'm going to stretch this text up. All right, give me a little bit of height here. Now I want to distort this text. I want to give it a little bit of creativity, a little bit of something, little pizzazz or something, because I want to add something in here, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the distort tool. Now the distort tool allows me to distort fonts, text, or objects, any objects, right? Yeah, unfortunately, Kool-Aid, it's not anywhere else. It's not even in my earpiece because I'm monitoring the audio as well. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, I'm not sure where your echo is coming from. And also make sure you don't have it playing on your phone and your computer at the same time, right? Who knows? Let's see here. So in here, I can distort by putting everything in a bounding box. It's like sticking the words in an envelope, and however I stretch and skew that envelope, my words and text will follow suit. Or I could curve it on a single line or curve. I could curve it between two lines and a curve. All of those wonderful things. In this case, I'm going to do a bounding box. And what that's going to do, it's going to put a virtual box around the characters here. Now I'm going to take the two nodes of this box and I'm going to drag them upward and I'm going to stretch the text a little taller, right? So a little taller. And then at the bottom here, I want to come over and I'm going to use a guideline to help me out with this. So on my guidelines, I'm going to snap a guideline to here and I'm going to snap a guideline to the right side. I'm going to right click on this guideline and in the properties box, I'm going to create a relative guide negative number because I need to come back to the left. I'm going to come over 1 inch on that, not 11 inches, just 1 inch negative. And I'm going to bring that over. And then over on this guideline, I'm going to do the same thing, but it's going to be a positive number because I'm going to the right. Create that. Now, go back into my text here and let's come back in to edit that envelope there. I am going to create a point on that guideline, that 1 inch in. I'm going to add a point here and over here on the same side. And then in between here, I'm going to turn this into an arc. Not that kind of arc. I want to come up, right? So I want a nice little curve in here. So my text is going to remain straight. And then it's going to start curving. And, you know, I could squish it really dense and all that stuff. I'm just going to go a nice subtle arc here to be a little creative. Let's go just a little bit less, something like just a nice kind of curve. And then, you know, I might put something like underneath there. Please wipe your feet. I don't know, right? Whatever you want it to be, whatever kind of sign you want it to be, but it could be anything, right? So and now I kind of created a little place by curving that upper text where it kind of like a little rainbow going over. I kind of created a little place for that text to go, and it could be a different font. It could be whatever the case may be, right? So I could distort, right? And whatever I do with the distortion, when I'm distorting an object, you know, if I pull this up, it's going to follow along. If I pull it over, it's going to follow along, right? It's going to do whatever it does. And I could turn this top into a Bezier curve to where, you know, I'm actually kind of creating almost like a banner, if you will, to where it's a banner type text. So now I can really start to play around with my words and my fonts, and I can start to distort them. I can start to really just have fun with them, whatever it may entail, right? And so let's turn this back to a line here. And whoops, let's go back and select these, and I could kind of condense it up, you know, crush it up. I could do, you know, a little bit of a ramp where it's coming downhill. Let's just take these and stretch them out. Whatever it may be, right? You could do just, the world is your oyster when it comes to that. So distortion. Now I'm not working with just box text or an arched text or, text on a curve. I can now really start to play around with things. I can start to kind of get things, really looking pretty kind of cool and awesome and stuff. And so have some fun with it. All right, let's get out of that. So let's delete that, right? And let's get rid of the guidelines, view guidelines, delete all guides. There we go. And we can start to have some fun. Now, textures, right? We can do, when we're creating the toolpaths and everything, we can use the texturing toolpath for kind of a common texture theme, or over here in our create vectors tool, we have a series of lines like a texture pattern, like if we were doing grain or something like that, like faux grain, we can really kind of create a little bit of a texture pattern. We can go online and we can download graphics, vector graphics of wood grain patterns or grunge patterns, kind of grunge, like, just kind of rust and distortion and deterioration and all kinds. And we can bring those vectors in and we can just really add some grunge to our signs and all. I mean, wow, we could start to have some fun with it and stuff. Well, just try, anything, right? Anything. Just be creative for yourself, because that creativity, people are going to pick up on it. They're going to love what you're doing. And, some people will like it. Some people won't. Not everybody's going to love everything, right? But, I mean, there's, something with a little creativity. If I see something that I'd hang that in my house, most likely, even though I could go and make it myself, I'd probably buy it, right? I'm right there. It's beautiful work, great finish. Finish is everything. I look at people's finish. If the finish is a little blotchy, or if they didn't really clean off the sawdust before they put the clear coat on and you got little dimples in the finish and all, it really takes a beautiful sign and really tanks it down the drain, right? So I pay attention to those kind of details when I'm buying other people's work and stuff like that. And it's really disheartening to see that all this creativity and all this beauty, and then all of a sudden they punted at the finish line and failed on the finish, right? So pay attention to your finish. Anyway, so just have some creativity, open up those juices and open up the brain and look at some different things online, what things that interest you, and stuff like that. So I mean, literally, hold on, let me see here. I'm going to make up a let's see if I can get I've had a heck of a time with my screen not staying up. All right, there we go. I'm going to make up something real quick. So let's say golf course signs, right? And look at the images, and most of the time we're going to just see 18 par and the counts and all that stuff. But let's see, what they got going on with creativity, right? So the texture in the background, the raised text here, the border, right? Things like that. That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking at. I'm not looking at really what's written, and all that, that humdrum, I'm not looking at the text. I'm looking at the combination of the creativity, the border, and the way they did the border, and the, the little emblem at the top and stuff like that. That's what's getting my juices flowing. I don't care what the sign says. I don't care what the text is and things like that. I care about the way that it was laid out, right? I mean, oh man, as a V-carve sign, those flourishes and the way the text has got a little bit of distortion, that curve to it. And then, of course, the established 2019 arc, going on there and stuff like that, how they have the little vertical lines, that texture in the background, it gives a little bit of that. All that stuff, right? All of that is what I'm looking at. I don't care, what the sign per se says. I want to be inspired by the way they're using objects, flourishes, flourish vector. You type in flourish vector on Google, you can go to Etsy. There's millions of flourish designs that you can buy. And that's flourishes are all these little swirls and scrolls and things like that. Enough harping on that stuff, right? So just whatever floats your boat, whatever inspires you, use it, right? Use it. Go look and see what's out there, what people are doing, and then add your little kick to it and all that stuff. All right, so here's what we got going on here. I have a sign that is 16 inches wide, 22 inches tall. It is 3/4 inches thick. We're going to do a bit of a V-carve type sign. What I want is I'm going to be painting this sign black. All the carved areas, I'm going to be painting it black. I might add some color. I don't know yet. I may add some color. I might add some black and yellow to kind of, my mom's car, kind of making, the sign for her mostly and all that stuff. But I'm going to kind of create a little bit of negative relief or whatever. I don't know how the proper way to say it, around the border area and stuff to kind of, create a little bit of an undershadow. And all of these things hopefully will come together and be pretty cool when it's all said and done, right? Okay. And then, yes, John Thompson, great question. Could you make the shape of a shoe sole and have the text distort to it? You could, in that distortion box and everything, you could have that text flow to it. Or you take your shoe sole, like let's say you traced a vector of a shoe sole and you got that outline of the shoe sole. You cut the vector, right? So go into node editing and cut the vector so it's two separate lines. You have your top half and your bottom half. And then use, instead of the distort, when you're in the distort tool, instead of the bounding box, you use between two curves, right? So it'll distort it between those two curves. So what I mean when I say that is say let's pretend, hold on a minute. Bear with me just a second. Let's pretend that this is the shoe sole. Okay? Let's say it is, right? And let's say that we go into node editing. We're going to cut the vector here and cut the vector here. Now, the text is going to contour to the end of those vectors, to the end of the line. So I'm not sure exactly how the ends are going to turn out, but knowing that, I can come up a little bit higher and a little bit lower and create two extra nodes and cut those, to make the lines come a certain part. Either way, but let's see how it looks with just this. And so let's say that this is, we'll just do something simple, shoe repair, right? Right, let's just say that's what it is. All right, so now I'm going to take shoe repair. I'm going to hold down my shift key. I'll select the bottom line first, the top line second, go into the distort tool, and you'll notice that when I select between two curves, it says my selected vectors are valid, and my top edge curve is okay, and my bottom edge curve is okay, right? If for some reason it wasn't, let's say I only had the text selected, you'll notice that it says invalid selection over here, right? Because I need, and notice how it says bottom edge curve okay, top edge curve okay, right? See that? So now I can apply that, and the text is going to distort to that shoe sole. Now, it's going to distort all the way around to this, this curve here. It's going to distort it quite crazily, right? That could look pretty cool. It almost looks like it's bubbled up. And when it carves, it probably would carve exactly how I'm envisioning it, and everything. But let's take that same thing. And let's back off a little bit. Let's say that I come in here. I'll use a guideline to help me kind of keep things kind of where when I cut one area, I cut the other. Let's go here. All right, when I know, sorry about the sniffing. In node editing, right up here at this intersection, I'm going to cut the vector, and also down at this intersection right here, I'm going to cut the vector. And over here at this intersection of my guideline and that line, I'm going to cut the vector there. And up here, cut the vector there. So now when I'm working with this, I have this line and this line right between those two parts. Now let's see what that shoe repair looks like. We go into here. Let's first of all, I don't think I have to center it in the vector, but we'll leave it as it is. And matter of fact, let me center it in the vector. I'm kind of curious about that. Let me come here. And here I'm going to hit G for group to group those two together for a minute. I'm going to select this text first, this group last, and I'm going to align it to the center of that group. I think that does play a role. If I'm shifted over to the right, I think it'll try to stretch the front letters all the way to the front. So I think that does play a vital role. Now I'm going to hit the letter U to ungroup those two things. But once again, I'm going to select that text, bottom line, top line, and go into the distort tool between the two lines. And notice now, completely different look. It's backwards, right? Because of my start points. Got to fix my start points, right? See, my start point is over here on the back side. So let's undo that, Control Z. And on my vector, let's make this the start point. And on the upper vector, make this one the start point. Right? So now when I come in here and do that, select that text, bottom, top, and distort between the two lines. All right. So now you see how much cleaner that looks, right? Instead of having to try to stretch to the tip of that toe and the heel, right? By just cutting the vector back a little bit, now it looks a little bit more normal, like what we would probably expect to see of the text following a shoe sole outline, right? So it's important. If we would have just cut it right down the middle, it's going to try to follow that curve, so it's throwing that distortion on around that curve too. But if we just back up a little bit, get ourselves a nice cut line and all, now we're coming to here. You can see that front S is like at that guideline there, and the R, the tip of the R, is at that guideline there will be cut, and our distortion looks much more normalized and clean, right? All right. So let's see here. Did it by just adding node without cutting the vector? I remember when the local grocery store had a shoe repair shop. Mayors, yeah, yeah. We had I have a shopping center right behind me, and across the street. And at the end of the shopping center, we had a cobbler store, and the guy did great work, but nobody supported the store. Very little customers and everything, and he held out as long as he could, years, but eventually he had to close down. It's sad, to see that stuff, but his work was phenomenal. The repairs and everything, I mean, the quality of work was bang on, perfect, on point. All right, but wasn't supported. All right, so do you get that now? Do you get that? You understand what we're at now, right there, as far as that? And I didn't do too bad on making a mock shoe sole from two ovals, right? That looks pretty close to a boot sole or something like that. All right, let's get back to it and go from there. And by the way, that's a little thing on using shapes to make shapes, right? We just used two ovals to simulate, welded them together to create this kind of simulated shoe soul. Might not be perfect, but it's pretty darn close. I mean, people will look at that and say, that looks like a shoe. All right, let's get rid of that, and let's get rid of our guidelines, view guidelines, and delete all guides. All right, I don't know how I look in 1080p, but I hope I don't have to sneeze again. Excuse me for a minute. The Dr. Pepper's not helping. I should be drinking water right now. All right. Let's get started here. So for this, what I'm looking at doing, what I'm looking at doing is I've got a vector kind of already of the Mach 1 Mustang. It's hiding over in the corner. Oh, did I have to restart my program and I didn't hit save? Yes, I did. Hold on a minute. Dadgummit. Oh, quit sniffling, dude. Sorry, folks. The sniffles. The sniffles. I might have to excuse myself for a second. Let me find my vector. Oh, what did I call that? Mom's. Dadgummit, give me just a second. I knew there was something in the corner. I should have saved it. And you might have to excuse me for a minute. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. Let's go. Let's go. All right, one more time. Now I'm going to hit save because I don't want to do that again in case I had to restart. So save as. We're going to call this Mom's Garage. She doesn't own a garage, by the way. Ladies and gentlemen, she was just cool back in the day before she became a mom. I think she might have been a mom. I think she had my older sister. My older sister was born. So, could you imagine? All right, let's see here. I think someone talked her into trading that car for a minivan or something. I don't know the story. I'm sure she's in the other room cringing. She could probably hear everything. She's probably watching going, no, that's not what happened. They conned me into switching to a minivan. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so here's what we got. I'm going to start off with 1, 2, 3 squares. So let's start off with 3 squares to lay out the design and everything, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to distort these shapes, but I'm just going to get them on the board. All right, now hold that control key down. So I'm making a copy, control key to make a copy. Now for right now, I want to space these 3 items on my board, right? I want to space these 3 items on my board, and I want them equal distance spacing, right? So how do I do that? Let me get back over to the chat in case someone asks me a question. How do I do that and everything with what's a good way of doing that? So here's how I do it. So I'm going to take a line, and I'm going to draw a straight line from top to bottom of my project board. Space bar to finish. And that line now gives me something to reference as an object that I can select last, right? So now I can select these 3 objects here. I can hold down the shift key, select that line last, and in my alignment tool, I can, first of all, I'll center them, right? They're all stacked on top of each other, centered on that line. And then I can, inside that last vector, I can align them vertically, which will create that equal distance from here to here, here to here, here to here, and down here, right? So I'm using that line to say, hey, space between here. And it's the same thing, ladies and gentlemen, if I have a line, and let's say that I've got, let's go with a 1/2 inch circle, whatever, right? And let's say I have these circles here, right? Hold down the shift key, turn off the line, turn it back on last, select it last, align to the center, so that'll center them all, they'll all stack right there, and then I can space them, again, vertically, and create that equal spacing. So from here to here, here to here, all the way up is equal distance spacing, right? So I can do that with text. I could do that with objects, shapes, whatever, alignment. And I can align horizontally or vertically. I can space things, equal distance spacing and all. So having that line or creating that line gives me a nice reference point and stuff like that. All right. So the line served its purpose. Now, on this sign, and somebody keeps beeping me. Is somebody trying to tell me something? Hold on a minute. Is somebody trying to tell me something? Yes, someone is trying to tell me something. Telling me that I got 20 bonus points that I could use to download this item today. All right. Spam. Love it. All right. Now, my 2 boxes here, right? The 2 boxes here, I'm going to reduce the height on this one. So I'm going to go, I could just do it here. I'll just do it like this. I'm going to reduce the height here because I want to go into node editing, and I want to kind of pull this up right about there. I want it to have kind of like a little peak to it, okay? And then I want the same thing down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. I'm going to select this one and just say, hey, mirror, flip about job center, make a mirror copy, flip vertically, and just pop that one right there where the other one was, right? So I want to do that. All right. So that's going to kind of be my top and bottom here. Now, the middle one, I want to do the sides, right? I want to kind of be something creative with the sides. So I'm going to bring this in. I'm going to hold down my shift key. And I'm going to bring this in. And holding the shift key does it evenly on both sides, right? Both sides. So I'm going to come here. Probably about there. Looks good. And then I'm going to go into node editing. And I'm going to pull this out. And it's going to, where y'all at? It's going to, there you are. It's going to be close to the edge, but not right at the edge, just kind of close there. Now, that distance that I pulled, right, from, let me hit undo. When I pulled this out from here, the distance that I pulled it is 2 inches. Okay, you can see that distance there. So I want to make sure that when I pull this one, that I do the same distance on that side, right? Otherwise, cut it down the middle, flip it to the other side, make that copy, and all that wonderful stuff. All right. Now, on this one here, I want it to not be so straight and rigid and stiff and rigid. I want to have a little bit of a curve and flow here, a little bit of a not an arc, well, an arc, but just a slight, ever so slight one. And but before I do that, after I do that. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to change this. Let's see. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do it a little different. I was about to pull this one and then pull that one and then pull this one and then pull that one. I'm going to do it a little bit different. I'm going to take on my point here. I'm going to click here with my arc tool here and slightly pull up, right? I can kind of slightly pull up there. All right, all right, all right. And then I'm going to take that arc that I just did and I'm going to mirror that. And I'm going to mirror it, flip about job center, create a mirrored copy. I'm going to flip it horizontally, vertically, horizontally. Righto. And then I'm going to take my scissors. Oh, don't clip that one away. And I'm going to trim the straight lines away. All right. Just to give them a little bit of a curve. And then I'm going to offset all three of these. So I'm going to select these three. Make sure they're all three separate vectors here real quick. They are closed. Good. I'm going to offset them inward, and I want to go 3/8, 0.375. We'll see how much of a border that creates. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Let's go a little bit more. Let's go a 1/2 inch. Okay. All right. Now, we're not looking like a vintage sign just yet or anything. We're getting there. Give me 2 seconds here. Put your mouse over the image and roll with the middle wheel to scroll in. I'm in a class right now. I'll be available after 10 p.m. to assist if you need any further assistance. Sorry about that. I do still have customer support I got to do. Now we're going to start laying it out with our text and all that stuff. First of all, the car. Now, for the car, I have 3 different views, right? I got kind of 3 different views on this car. I want this bottom one, but I want it facing the other way. So I'm going to hit the letter H on the keyboard, flip it the other way, horizontal, right? And I'm going to size her up. And then I'm going to center her up. Okay. And then I actually want the wheel right here. I want to kind of create a divide in this line right here at the wheel. So I'm going to take a small skinny rectangle. Let me see if I can do this. Let's open up the rectangle tool. That would help. And I want to be just right there. Now that I have that kind of where I want it, I'm going to stretch it all the way out to here. And then I actually need it to come down to here. There we go. And I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to go cut that right there, cut that there and there. No, hold on. Let's do this different. Ooh, I got to sneeze. Lord of mercy. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my goodness. All right. We need to take just 2 seconds. I got to take a timeout for just 2 seconds. I'm back. Woo! Sorry, I apologize for that. I turned the microphone on right before I thought I was done. Oh my goodness gracious. I don't know what it is. I'm allergic to something. And I don't have a Benadryl right now. Okay, so let me get to what I'm doing here. I want what is the look I want? Give me just a second. I kind of want the front tire to kind of almost like it's being I want it to be in the, let me think here for 2 seconds. If I trim that, okay. So I'm going to create the void by taking my scissors. So I'm going to do this first, that next, that. Get rid of that line, come over here and create that. That's going to give me my void, the two separate pieces. Okay, that's what I want there. But then I want the, start back here. I love the snap to grid. I want right about here. Come back right about there. All right, going in, zoom in. I want to get in close to this because I want to be able to pull this down. I want to be just above this line, but I want a little bit of a space there. Now, on here, I want this line to go around. I want this line to go around the tire. I want to give the illusion because the tire is going to be black. When this gets all painted and everything, that tire, all that big void right there, that's going to be painted black and all. And what I'd like is I'd like to have a little bit of reveal here, and then it's going to be black here too on this line. And so what I need to do is at this point to get that rectangle to go around, I don't want it coming right around and touching the tire, the line, and everything. And so I need to offset the Mustang outline. So I'm going to go to the Mustang outline. I'm going to offset it outward. And I'm only going to offset it to where it's just there's a small reveal there. So I'm going to offset it outward, let's say a 1/16 of an inch. And no sharp corners to create that little bit of a reveal right there. Now I have a trim line. So when I come in here and take this rectangle, I have a boundary line, not a trim line. But when I select this boundary I just created last, I can use my regular trim tool and clear inside that boundary, and it'll redraw it around that boundary. And then I can just get rid of that boundary because I don't need it anymore. So the tire will kind of, sit into this void right there. This will make sense. Hopefully it looks good. I don't know. We'll see. Now let's put in some text and let's kind of finish this up. So the text is actually going to distort to this shape right here, the two peaks. So we're going to do moms. And we're gonna go with some block type letters or something that looks really good. And for that, I'm gonna go down to a font that what was it? It was oh God, what was it? It was it was a race type font. No, hold on. What was it? Let me go down to the R's. Rage, Railway. It wasn't that. Rockwell. It wasn't that. Oh, it was a good one too. That's all right. We'll just do a Hold on, it might still be in my downloads. Let me go back up here to my downloads. It was Munson. 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 All right, let's go to the M's. I think that's the one that I wanted. Munson. M. Munson. Bold. All right, let's size this up. Yeah, we can deal with that. All right, so one thing I want is I want a little bit of space. I want a little bit of space between here and there. So I'm going to hold down the shift key, come in here and click just once. Give me a little space right there. This is going to get distorted in here, so it's going to fill in this block right here. We're going to do it the same way we just did that shoe sole in just a second, right? But now I'm going to come in here and put in, let's say, garage, right? We've been talking about garages all night. So the garage. Now, the garage, let me see if I go with a Rockwell's too played out. Let me see here. I mean, I'll probably end up going with the same font, but I'd like to have a little bit of a different font. We'll play this one for a minute. All right, center. Hold down the shift key, select this vector, align to the center of that vector, and we'll get with that in just a minute. Moms, hold down the shift key, select this vector, align to the center, make sure we're centered there. All right, so now this is going to get bigger. It's going to stretch up to this, we can kind of get it close. It's going to stretch up to this, but it's going to stretch and kind of fill all this in right in here. And it's going to take this shape. We're going to shape this. But if I did what I did with that shoe sole, if I just come in here and select the, cut the vector in the middle, now it's going to try to contour down these lines. I just want the top line and the bottom line, right? So over here in node editing, second icon, I could just for right now delete this span on both sides here. Delete the span. And the same thing up here. Delete the span. Delete the span. All right, now I have the text, and hold down the shift key, select the bottom line and the top line, come in here to that between the two lines. Everything is okay. I can apply that, right? So we got that going on there. And then same thing here, select the text. Let's do that one more time. Select the text, bottom line, top line, between the two lines, select that. All right, all right, all right. Now, important, I want the mom's garage, I want it raised text, right? I want it raised up. I want the letters raised. So I need a border around it so that when I carve in there, it'll raise up. I want the square borders too. I want the border. So we're going to go back and let me make sure that I'm not ignoring everybody here. Yeah, thank you, Head Matt. Sorry about that. God bless you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know what the sneeze attack was. But so what I want is this line and this line served its purpose. Okay, so my text was expanded to those two lines. They serve their purpose. Same thing here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, let's close this here, is my two vectors here, I'm going to extend them. I'm going to offset them outward a little bit, but then I'm going to take that new vector and offset it inward to create my border again. I do not want to use this as a border because my text is running right up to that. Now, I could have being a smart guy, I could have said, you know what, I already have the border there. Why don't I just do another offset inward, take those 2 lines and stretch my text to it, right? But now I'm having to kind of, step back and all. And let's say that I don't have the room here that I thought I had, and I can't do that. I can't offset outward and then back inward. So what do? We step back once we realize our mistake, and I'm realizing my mistake, right? So I'm going to hit undo, Control Z, get back to my lines here. Make sure these are closed vectors. That's going to be my border, so I need to offset this inward, both of them. Offset inward. And on this one, I'm going to go, about 3/16, 0.1875. Offset, keep sharp corners. That's good. And then now I take this vector and I go into node editing and I delete that span, delete this span, come up here, delete that span and that span. And that's going to be the vectors that I distort to. And then I still have my border around here that I don't have to screw with, right? So yeah, let's go to the distort tool. We'll start with moms first, bottom line, top line, distort between 2 lines, get that in there. Good. Come in here, garage next. So select garage, bottom line, top line, apply. Once again, now these 2 lines, technically they've served their purpose and I don't need them anymore, but it doesn't hurt them staying in there. They're just not going to be part of the toolpath, right? They were there for the layout and all. So now what's going to happen is this here, the area in the middle, is not going to get carved and raised. We'll see how that looks and everything. But for the most part, it's going to just kind of be flat, and then the outside right here is going to, this whole block is going to be raised, and this is just going to get carved on there. So it's going to be kind of natural wood all around here and everything. So we'll let's just see, right? I have no idea. So won't know until we actually do the carve. But first, before I do the carve, I'm going to create a vector boundary all the way around the border here. And I'm going to offset it. Offset that vector boundary outward just a 1/16 of an inch, 0.0625. Delete the original, create sharp corners just to give me just outside of my border there. Okay, because I'm going to be pocketing all this stuff down around here. All right, so let's pretend that this is my sign. Now, I don't know. We could have done so many other different things with it, but just let's say that this is my layout. This is my sign. I'm going to add some texture and stuff in there. Probably add some texture around the card. We'll see. But let's go in and let's see what we've got going on here. So, V-carve toolpath. Now, on the V-carve toolpath, I'm going to come in and turn off the vectors I don't want, right? So hold down the Shift key. I'm going to turn off this vector here and here. Those were my layout lines for the moms, right? And then I'm going to turn off this line and this line. Those were my layout lines for garage. They're not part of the V-carve toolpath. Now, by selecting this border here, what's going to happen is it's going to carve between these 2 lines. It's going to mill that area away, and then it's going to skip these 2, so that's going to be raised up. Then it's going to mill between these 2 lines, so it's going to mill around, and moms is going to be raised, right? So all this stuff around is going to be kind of raised up, right? And same thing here. Now, in this situation here, it's going to be carving between here, skipping here, carving in between here right now, because these are closed off right here. So it's going to be carving around here, and then this is going to be raised. Well, the problem with that is this, if it carves raised, or if, when this carves, it's going to try to carve in between these lines too, and it's going to make it like a negative image, and it's going to destroy the look. So I need to have another line around here or around here to give it that raised look. So what I'm going to do is the line's actually going to be around here. I'm going to do it around here, and I'm going to offset this outward. Eighth of an inch. Sharp corners. And then I'm going to come in here and carve, skip, carve, skip, carve. That's got to go away. All right, node editing. Delete this span and that span. Delete that span and that span. Get out of node editing. Come in here and delete this inside line. It doesn't, oh, you booger. Delete this inside line and that inside line. Those two things don't need to be there, but I do need to rejoin these two lines, right? So I'm going to rejoin there one more time. There. So I need that side of that border around the outside. Hopefully this will look good. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what it's supposed to look like. I have no idea. Carve, skip, carve, skip, carve. Yeah, so that should look good. We'll see. Let's find out. Let's go ahead and go in here and select this. Turn off the lines that we don't want in the carving, our layout lines. I could delete them out of there. I usually do, but hey, I might need them again. You never know. All right, so flat depth. I'm going to set a flat depth. I love an eighth of an inch flat depth, but we can go a little bit deeper, whatever the case may be. But an eighth of an inch really looks good to me and everything. So I'm going to go eighth of an inch flat depth. I'll go 60-degree V-bit. I'm going to use a combination of a 1/4 inch end mill and an 1/8 inch end mill. So those are going to be my flat area clearance tools. And I want to make sure that they are carving with the grain. Now, my grain is going to be running vertically in this particular case. So when I raster, not offset, offset is kind of round and around and around. I want to raster with the grain. I want to go 90 degrees. So I want to cut with the grain. And I want to make sure that everything follows suit. Now, my cleanup tool, that's going to kind of go around and around. It's going to still, raster, but it's just a cleanup tool. It's going to be the smaller of the two. All right, so pull the trigger, see what happens, and see if it looks like it's supposed to look. I don't know. We're going to find out. So we're going to preview the visible toolpath. Now, there's no texture in this right now or anything just yet. Let's go back into the view here and make sure that my shaded view is turned on. Let's see what I have for the carve. Give me just a second. There's something odd. I'm going to hit save because there's something odd about my view. Give me just a minute. Oh, I got lithophane turned on. I was like, what? There we go. All right, now. I had lithophane turned on. It was throwing me off there for a minute. I wonder how long I had lithophane turned on. But everything I looked at today was all funky looking. Didn't even pay attention. All right, so let's now. What I want here is there's going to be some. There's going to be I think I'll be painting this outside edge black. I don't know. We'll find out. Let's see. Let's look here. Yeah. So it's going to look like this. Okay. All right. So let's see what y'all see. Okay. Yeah. So that's what the car is going to look like. Or that's what the sign is going to look like and everything, right? And so let's turn off the color for just a minute. So by milling and creating this raise here, and I got to add some texture in. I think I might throw some texture back around the car here in this flat area. We'll find out here in about 2 seconds. But creating that reveal and everything gives me a place where I can, when I paint this board, I can paint around, these edges and everything. And when I add that color to it, my top surface will really just kind of stand out. And it's going to be a lighter wood, like a, more like a maple, or I think Mom is worth a little more than a soft pine. I don't know. I ain't made her sign yet. We'll figure out. But probably use a maple on her. Lord have mercy, spend some money. I mean, after all, right? So we'll do something like that. Now, if I wanted a little bit of a frame around this, right, where I had that black cut in and I had a little bit of a frame, okay, I got everything here that I need. Let's just bring some things in and add another vector to it and change this up so I have some kind of like a frame around it, right? So let's take all this inside stuff. Let's bring this in. I'm going to hold the shift key down. That's going to keep me centered. Let's bring this in just a little bit. And then let's take my vector here and let's offset. Hold on a minute. Something did not get selected there. Hold on. Let's try that one more time. There we go. All right. Oh, you son of a gun. One more time. Come on now. All right, that's what happened. I didn't get that one. All right, hold that shift key down, bring it all in about there. Take that outside vector, offset it inward. That's the wrong tool. Offset inward. Let's go 3/4, 0.75, sharp corners. Let's go 0.875. Why not? 0.875. There we go. All right, one more time. Same situation. This time I'm going to use this vector, right? So open up this toolpath here. We'll use this vector instead. Again, turn off my layout lines. I should just move those to another layer. Matter of fact, let's be smart. Let me teach you the proper way. Layout lines, we don't need to keep having them visible, right? But we don't want to delete them either. So let's go in here and select them. And let's right-click and move them to a new layer. And we'll call it our distort lines. And we'll turn off the visibility to those so that way they're out of there, right? So proper, good technique. There we go. All right, let's select all that. Calculate that toolpath once again, reset the preview the visible toolpath. All right, so now when we come in here and paint this, we have, kind of a frame that we can put around it. And of course, I could get decorative with the frame and all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. I'll probably just do a nice little chamfer or a round over on it, but that's that. Now, let's say that I didn't want to paint the back area black, or I did. Let's say I did, whatever, but maybe not black. Maybe I wanted to be a little lighter gray or something like that. I want to throw a texture in there, or maybe I don't want to paint it at all and just maybe inside these areas, right? The car in this area, the inside the garage, maybe paint that and then have a texture out here. Whatever the case may be, I could do that. So if I were going to do that, then I would be selecting this vector, this one, and that one. I would come in here and create a textured toolpath. I would be using, in my case, an 1/8 inch tapered ball nose is kind of my go-to, and I would be starting at that 1/8 of an inch that I've already carved away. I'm going to have a maximum cut line or cut depth of an 1/8 of an inch. That's, yeah, an 1/8 of an inch is good. I'll have a minimum of a 1/16. It'll vary between those two. Maximum cut length, let's go 1 inch. We'll give ourselves a little bit of a long. Now let's go 3/4, 0.75. My overlap, I'll let it overlap. All those lines and texture overlap each other. We'll go 30%. I'll step over half the diameter of my bit. My bit's an 1/8 inch bit. I'll step over a 1/16. I'm going to go at a nice little 10-degree angle here. And actually, that's a lie. I'm going to go an 80-degree angle. So I'm a little bit more vertical, going up and down with the grain. And I'm going to stay away from everything by 1/8 of an inch. Let's throw in a texture in there. Now, my texture, let's turn off the color for a minute. Preview the visible toolpath. We'll throw in a bit of a texture in that background. All right. Give it just a little bit of something, right? A little something, something. Now, I can choose to give that, a little bit of a lighter color, or I could leave it, untouched. Let's say that just for visual purposes only, I'm going to create another toolpath for visual purposes only, so we can leave that uncolored and everything. Because right now, if I add color, it's going to add color to everything. So let me do this really quickly. Bear with me. Let me select this. Let me turn this off and that off. And let me create just a toolpath on that. V-carve toolpath, same things apply. The only reason that is there is for the sole purpose of and I need one more toolpath. Hold on, I got one more to do really quickly. V-carve toolpath. Everything is going to stay the same. All right. So the reason why I did it this way is so that I could decide if I want to add color. I can show you the color. Preview the visible toolpath. Wait for it. And now I can add colors, specific colors, to not that one, this one up here. Go black, black, black. And so that's what the sign would look like if I didn't want to paint the texture, right? If I wanted to have it untouched. If I wanted the texture to be of a lighter color, let's say that the texture I wanted to go with a light gray, I would also do the same light gray on this one, that one, and that one. So that way it adds the gray to the upper edges of the borders right there, right? And so let's say that I wanted to, I could give it whatever color I wanted, but the lighter color will kind of maybe like a chrome color, right? Like a real metallic metal finish or something, whatever the case may be. But, that is going to be, the layout of the sign. So we have some distortion, nice, very simple and subtle distortion, right? The text is just following that ramp here, and it's following that ramp down here. And, just a very subtle distortion. We could, there's lots of things that we can do with it, right? So let's hit save, file save. And with the texture, It just gives it a little something, right? And also, again, whatever we could do with sign layout, tips, ideas, using our guidelines to help us lay out, using the distort tool to distort the text to give us a little bit of character to it. This is very subtle character, but it's something. It's not just that block font that we just typed out and placed on the board, giving the giving a little something. Now, let's say on the car, right? Let's say that I wanted to change it up. Let's take the car group, G for group, by the way. I'll group that together. Let's move that over here. And let's say that I wanted kind of a front end look. Let's align to center. Size this up. Let's say that here, go into node editing. Come in here and cut the vector right there. Come over here, cut the vector right here. Delete this, whatever it is, and then rejoin that with a straight line. Join with a straight line, close it off. Now, take the outside vector. Let's get out of node editing. Take the outside vector here and offset that outward. Offset it outward. Let's go outward. Eighth of an inch. Yeah. Take our vector here, select that, hold down the shift key, select this vector last, and trim, clearing inside that last selected vector so it redraws around, and now we get rid of that offset, right? So we have that kind of like there. So now let's go in and create that V carve again. This time we're going to add in this and that. Calculate. Reset the preview. Preview the visible toolpath. Right? So, same sign, different look. Right? Just something. I like the full-on, side profile of the car and all, but just to, show you a variety. Right. All right, let's turn off the color for just a minute so you can see what's happening here. Texture, it's raised, carved in around the letters. The letters are raised. Here, we got a raise, but then we have a nice little carve around that's going to get, painted that black. This is all raised, and then the car itself is carved in. And then the same thing, as up above where it's carved in there. Right? So when we add that color in, we have that look. Either one, they both, they both could pass, right? That kind of deal, whichever one. Now, I'm going to hit undo. Control Z, I could, by the way, hit Control Z, multiple times, but right. Recalculate that. Reset the preview the visible toolpath, and then preview that visible toolpath. Right? All right. So now Kool-Aid says, Trying to finish cut a 3D model, getting an error. Large machine allowance selected. The allowance left is greater than 20% the tool diameter. Kind of know what that means. How could I fix it? So what that is let me hit save on this real quick. Kool-Aid is in your 3D. Is it? Are you getting that error when you're calculating the rough cut? Normally you would get that in the rough cut, but the machining allowance here is how much material is left over when the rough cut is done so that the finish bit can do the finish work, right? And typically it says, the allowance left is greater than 20% of the tool diameter, meaning that there's not enough material, or your tool. What am I trying to say? Is when the rough cut comes, because of the size of the tool, when it leaves that 4%, that allowance is going to be larger than the diameter of your tool. So you need to reduce that. So what's your allowance number? Normally 0.04 is your go-to number. 0.04 or less in most cases. And as far as the 3D finish, let me go and make sure that you're not talking about in the 3D finish here. In the 3D finish, I don't have a 3D model in the job here, but let me select a second tool real quick. The rest machining here is your bigger bit. You have 2 bits in your finish cut. Your larger bit is going to do a majority of the work. The smaller bit is going to do all the fine details. And so what is the minimum detail that you want it to get down to, right? Do you want it to be a coarse or a very fine? We're talking, so 0.003 is a human hair, right? So, are we taking how much detail are we getting to so that it's going to really try to get into those nooks and crannies if it can fit, if the bit's not too big, right? So generally your midline or just above that 0.02, that 20 thousandths and all, that's a good bit of detail. You're getting down to 20 thousandths of an inch, in that detail and everything. It doesn't really need to be much less than that. So what this is saying is the big bit is going to get as much as it can. Now the finish bit's got to come in and touch up the finish area. But how much of the detail how much of that finish area of that detail you want to get down to? What's the nitty gritty? You want to get down to the microscopic this and that, which is going to be ridiculous unless you have a bit that can fit. You just got to make sure that it's appropriate for the size tip of the bit you're fitting and everything. So what minimum detail? What's the minimum amount of detail that you'll be satisfied with? I like a midpoint, 20 thousandths, 0.03, something like that. And then the boundary offset is from the vector lines that get created by the rest machining, how far off those vector lines do we want to, stay away from? That kind of thing. So that's, rest machining is the rest. Whatever the big bit can't get, it's the rest of the model where it's got to go in and touch. And it was the rough cut. I'm using a too smaller bit. I'm using the wrong toolpath. Figured it out, right? So the rest machining is the rest, right? Whatever your first bit can't get to, it's the rest of the detail. And then so minimum detail, what's the minimum detail you want to get down to, right? And it's ridiculous to try to go too fine, but you never know. And boundary offset, how far do you want to stay off the lines, right? I usually go right up to the boundary on that. When it creates those vectors for the fine detail, I usually go no boundary offset. I usually go right up to the line on it. I hope that answers your question. But anyway, that's all it is. All right. Now, I got a problem. Got a problem. Let me see here. Something happening here. Bear with me a minute. I need a little bit more detail between the line right here, this rectangle. I need a little bit more space there and a little bit more space on that line there. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, let's go to node editing really quickly. This will finish this off. We'll end it for the night here, but I want to bring this up a little bit. This is going to give me a little bit of a reveal here. Hey, baby girl, we're almost done. I know you got perfect timing. Lainey come in and told me it's time to go potty. All right, we're going to go here, and I want to go a little bit further down, and I'm going to get rid of these lines right here. And the reason why I should round off that tire, that's why it's flat right here. But I'm going to use the curve fit tool, and I'm going to do a circular arc. Replace the vector. And then in node editing, I can come in. Oh, don't do that. And I just want to bump this down a little bit. That's good. All right, let me recalculate that really quickly. Some of you may ask, what is that line for? What's it supposed to represent? I don't know. I just want the tire to, I don't know. I want it to look like something. Preview that and that. I have no rhyme or reason why that square is there. So it's just there. I want the tire to look like it's sitting on something. I don't know. Touching something. Anyhow, so a little bit more reveal there between those two. Give it a little bit more space, that kind of thing. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's Mom's garage sign, right? So that is that. Utilize defont.com. Utilize wordmark.it. Take your guidelines to help you with laying things out. Your distort tool is a fun tool to distort shapes and letters and everything and words. Have a little bit of creativity. I love looking up country wood signs and antique gas station signs and antique road signs or whatever, right? Just to see how people are, used to do things, how, graphic designers used to lay stuff out, how modern CNC carvers and all are using fonts, different style fonts, cursive and serif fonts and things, and how they're, writing it out, laying it out to create some really beautiful artwork that inspires me to make my stuff look good and fun and creative, right? Thanks for some tea and vodka for your cold. Now, the funny thing about it is it's not a cold. I literally have an allergic to something. I don't know if I'm allergic to the cats, the dog, whatever it is, but once I take a Benadryl, it'll go away. It just, every once in a while it hits me. I don't know if it's, and on this one, I don't know. I washed the dog. I gave the dog a bath. De-shedded her today at all, and I don't know if that's what it is. If I'm allergic to my dog, but it's not a cold. I honestly don't have a cold. It's just an allergy. I've never been allergic to anything in my life, food or nothing. But now I'm 50 something years old, but I'm allergic to milk now. I'm allergic to butter, which has milk in it. It's the cream and the butter. I have food allergies that I didn't have before that just really close me up. I can't eat peanut butter. It'll kill me. Not because of the peanuts, just something about peanut butter, right? It's not the peanuts. I can eat peanuts. But the peanut butter, all these things, right? It's like, Jesus, I never had any of this growing up, right? So I used to be proud, like when they would ask me at the doctor, are you allergic to anything? No, not a bit. Not allergic to anything. Now I have to say, yeah, but I have no idea. Well, I got to go get one of those things where they see what all you're allergic to, because I have some kind of animal allergy now. It's crazy stuff. But tea and vodka, if I drank, that probably would be good, but I don't drink. Lady, I just got to ask, how long to carve this? All right, Ronnie, for you, how long to carve this sign with and without the texture? Let's find out here. So without the texture, based on my machine's speeds and feeds and my router bits, or my machine's rapid rates and all that stuff, this is an estimated time, not an exact, but about 56 minutes without the texture, and about 2 hours and 48 minutes with the texture. The texture alone is about an hour and 52 minutes. That little ball nose bit, slicing those little slices and all that stuff. So about 2.5 hours, 2 hours, 48 minutes kind of deal. Righto? All right, good stuff. All right, everybody. Well, listen, we will be back normal time next Thursday, 8 o'clock, 8:15, somewhere around there. But we will be there Thursday. And I'm going to go take a Benadryl. Going to call it a day. Well, it's not a Benadryl, it's a Zyrtec, the non-drowsy. I can't go to sleep because I still have to work. So, y'all have a wonderful evening. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you got something out of this. Let's go back to the 3D view. And let's take, just kind of so we can see that last little bit. And there's our sign. There's your sign, right? So hopefully, you got something out of this discussion. Even this sign is not the greatest sign in the world, right? It's not, it's not like, oh, so mind-blowing, right? It's not. It's just a basic sign, right? So, but it's just all we're talking about is just using little things to help kind of pizzazz it up, right? To give it a little bit of something. That kind of thing. That's the discussion of the day. All right, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Catch you next week. See ya. Thanks for everything.